Chapter 2, Into the Lair. As you regain consciousness, you stir, and immediately a searing pain in the back of your head rips through you. Gingerly, you feel the lump on your head and over your eyes, only to come face to face with a bright, silver gaze. Wakey, wakey. Your eyes catch on its fangs, and it all comes back to you. The talisman burning against your wrist, the vampire's sudden appearance in your doorway, the fear as he descended on you. What the... Punch him in the face. You know what? You lash out on instinct, but he catches your fist in midair and squeezes it with superhuman strength. No need to be so jumpy, human. I won't hurt you. Yet. Help! Clyde, keep her quiet. Swallowing hard, you turn in the direction of the voice and gasp as you realize you and Clyde are far from alone. And a lot of chairs. Silver-eyed vampire sits stoically on both sides of the subterranean room, divided by a stone aisle, leading the way to a stage like floor, and at the center of it all you see not one but two familiar faces. New students. I knew there was a reason I dislike them. Let's be honest, Astoria, you never needed a reason. Cass? Principal Yao? Where? As your head spins, your principal, a vampire, looks over at you with a disgusted glare, and the sensory talisman in your wrist starts vibrating hot against your skin. Ouch! Reflexively, you grab your wrist, and Clyde chuckles at your pain. Oh, if that's your biggest worry, I clearly have no idea what you've gotten yourself into, human. Then enlighten me. What's going on, and why am I here? Clyde casually folds himself into the chair next to you, blocking your only path to escape. As he speaks, his fangs catch the dim line. Cass has been accused of illegal hunting. As we speak, every vampire in town is on their way here to the Nexus to watch a trial. And I'm, a witness in the case? More like a liability to the coven. That's why I had to bring you in. And if Astoria gets her way, you won't be leaving. What could she possibly have against me? We met for half a second. She's my principal, for crying out loud. Your principal is head of the Venadi family, the most ferocious vampire coven in Crimson Beech. How many other covens are there in this town? Thought this was also supposed to be a safe place. Clyde nods his head to the vampires across the aisle, his face twisting in disgust. Just one, the Clement family. They're nothing but filthy human worshippers, and their leader, Luan's the worst offender. Behind you, the wooden doors bang open, and a well-dressed figure strides down the aisle towards the stage and glances at you as he passes, and you sigh in relief as your sensory talisman cools. Clyde rolls his eyes. Speak of the angel. Welcome, everyone. Let's get started. If someone's in a rush, what's the matter, Luan? Hot day? For your sake, I'd suggest you watch your mouth. Illegal hunting is a serious offense. For once, I agree with Astoria. Banishment is still on the table, and the life of a solitary vampire is an awful fate, really. You watch as Cass's smug smile melts away, and silent alarm takes its place. Still, she looks at them both with resigned resistance. Do your worst. Across the aisle, a Clement vampire scoffs. She clearly has no respect. Let us dole out the punishment so we can move on to the human. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Human lover. But would you say the same if she belonged to your coven? Our coven members have self-control, you bloodthirsty brute. Silence. Elders, this trial is as much part of our governance as law, and it will proceed as ordered. The crowd quiets, and as Luan and Astoria turn their focus to Cass, Clyde leans towards you and speaks quietly. When a vampire breaks one of our laws, Astoria and Luan both take turns questioning them. But the final decision up to the elders of both covens. Their rulings can only be rejected by a unanimous vote from the coven heads. So I just need to get Astoria and Luan to both agree not to kill me, and then I'm home free. Good luck with that. The only thing Astoria and Luan ever see eye to eye is on how to handle humans who know too much. It's more likely they'll vote to pop you like a Capri Sun. Let us all take a sip. In fact, I'm banking on it. Why else do you think I'm telling you all this? The more you know, the more likely you'll be my dinner. He let out a shaky breath, and Clyde's smile widens, revealing more of his fangs. Wait, there's more? No wonder he's been so helpful. He wants them to kill me. But if he's willing to spill the beans, maybe he'll say something I can use to convince them to let me live. Keep Clyde talking to learn how to diamond choice. What's the harm in learning a little more? Blood-curdling fear aside, this is kind of cool. If we're gonna kill me anyway, might as well know everything, right? Your funeral. As Luan and Astoria go back and forth, you tune into their words, waiting for your opportunity to wheedle information from your guard. Cause you know it's against the rules of a coven to hunt inside the town boundaries, especially to kill citizens of Crimson Beech. Thing is, the victim wasn't a townsperson, just some tourist passing through. Be that as it may, she was indeed within Crimson Beech's boundaries, was she not? Oops. Coven records show that you hunted very recently. You shouldn't have needed to drink blood tonight, so why did you? It doesn't matter. While Cass is young, she should have known better, or have better control. The violence she inflicted on that human was completely uncalled for. As Luan's voice echoes through the chamber, you lean over towards Clyde and speak softly. Luan seems like a stickler for following rules. Is he always like this? A human got eaten a while back, awaiting trial once. Luan went on and on about miscarriage of justice for years. He's all about orders, thinks vampires should behave respectfully towards humans they live amongst. One big happy community. He seems to have a unique way of thinking. So, he doesn't hate humans? Nah. The only ones who should fear him are the ones who know what he is. He rolls his head dramatically to face you. AKA you. Great. But Clyde just keeps talking, obviously amused by your reaction to the news. Personally, I think he's fascinated by human logic. Making a solid agreement or argument is always a surefire way to impress him. But the only thing Harlow's making is a mess. You luck of a dime to see Cass shirk Luan's gaze stubbornly. Look, what happened, happened. Ever heard of the word hangry? Really? Astoria grips Cass's arm and squeezes, and you watch as she fights back a wince. You broke a core law. You're lucky you're still alive to tell your side of the story. And if you wish to remain a part of this coven, you're going to need to give us something other than attitude. Okay, the hunt did start outside of Crimson Beech, but the human got away. She would have gone screaming into town and blow our entire coven if I didn't stop her. I didn't have a choice. Suddenly, she looks over at you. The human can tell you. She was there, she saw it happen. Immediately, the entire room turns to face you, and you shrink away from hundreds of glowing silver eyes. Luan shoots you a smile. You don't have to be afraid. Just tell us. Is what Cass saying the truth? Cass is telling the truth. She and the victim were coming from the opposite direction, heading into town. You feel a twist in your stomach, remembering the victim's screams as you fled. Murmurs break out through the crowd, and for a split second, Cass and Luan both look equally shocked. And then... See? Even the human backs me up. Astoria turns her attention back to Luan, who, sounding agitated. It's clear that Cass was just protecting the covens. I say we end this ridiculous trial immediately. With everyone's eyes back on Astoria, you take advantage of the moment and lean over towards Clyde. Yikes. Doesn't seem like Astoria likes Luan much. The only thing keeping the peace between those two are the rules they wrote when they first settled down here. Without that, heads would be rolling. Astoria's bringing a lot of aggression. Why is she so defensive of Cass? He sighs like it's the most obvious answer of all time. Cass is Vinadaya, one of the Astoria's coven. She's nothing if not fiercely protective of her own, but she can't stop and stand graveling. With her, the best bet is always to stand up for yourself and show you aren't afraid. He nods his head back to the center of the room, and you see Astoria glaring at Luan, but he seems unfazed. and after a few hundred years, Lewin's a master at it. Ignoring Astoria's glower, Lewin takes a step closer to Cass, his voice melodic, but his gaze unemotional, mask-like. I cannot deny that disposing of that one human may have saved us a great deal of trouble, but I can't help but wonder, are you or are you not always also behind the recent murders that have been happening outside of town? Cass opens her mouth to reply, but Lewin holds up a hand. Because they've drawn the attention of the human authorities, and I don't need to tell you how dangerous that is. His piercing silver stare shifts momentarily from Cass's eyes to yours, and a chill runs down your spine as if you're hit with the realization. Oh my god, he's talking about Mom, her medical examiner job. Those murders have nothing to do with me. And I'd caution you to think twice before accusing one of my coven without speaking to me first, Lewin. They both stare at one another down for a long, tense moment before he sighs in resignation, turns to face the crowd. Fine, but let this be a warning. Whoever is behind those murders will face dire consequences. His voice rings out through the Nexus, and the threat hangs in the air for a moment before he turns to face the first row of vampires. Tribunal, what have you decided? One Clement and one Venadidai. Venadidai, I swear to God, I was starting to sing there. The elder both stand, and the room is so quiet you hear the drip of falling water somewhere in the distance. Cassie Harlow, we find you guilty of breaking the core laws. You're sentenced to punishment by the way of silver brand. Wait, but a crime must have its punishment. Cass's eyes meet yours, and you watch wordlessly as she's dragged past you and into the hallway. A door slams, but it's not enough to muffle the agonized sounds of the screams that follow. Oh my god, what are they doing to her? Reeling from the sounds of Cass's screams, you don't even notice Clyde standing over you until he grabs your arm and drags you out of your chair. You're up, human. He carries you so quickly, your scream catches in your throat and you're in the center of the room before you have time to blink. This should be fun. This is no time for amusement. She's afraid. Must we really waste a trial on this? Your sensory talisman burns on your wrist, and before you know what's happening, Astoria is behind you, yanking your head back and baring your throat. We all know what must be done. No. Feel her fangs against your jugular. Your heart pounds in your ears as you prepare to scream. But a rational part of your mind remembers what Clyde told you. Don't grovel. Astoria will respect me for standing my ground. Wait. You can't punish me for trying to stay alive. Swallow, tightening your shaking hands into fists at your side. Force your voice to remain even despite the feeling of Astoria's hot breath against your neck. If you think I was gonna lie down and let Kaz kill me, you're sadly mistaken. You sense her unnatural stillness behind you. You can only hope she's taking your words seriously. You're certain she can feel your paws hammering against her fangs. Suddenly she lets you go, shoving you forward. You stumble, but catch your balance, turning towards her in shock. What? You snap your mouth shut as she narrows her eyes like she's examining you. You're not sure if you're imagining it, but it feels like your sensory talisman cools a few degrees. Did you just raise your voice at me? I'd admit I'm impressed. Most humans wouldn't dare. We are already here, Astoria. Letting her plead her case would only be reasonable and ensure we did our due diligence. That's right. Clyde said Lewin was all about reason and logic. If I make good points and keep a level head, I should be able to win him over. Astoria rolls her eyes but waves you on, and you clear your throat as you think of your argument. I don't want to die because... Besides... I'm not foolish enough to repeat anything I've learned here. I value... well, you value your own safety, and I value mine. Lewin nods, the ghost of a smile on his lips. I could tell you had a level head on your shoulders. Unless there's anything else, I suggest we move this along, Tribunal. Once again, two elders stand, and you fight to steady your breathing. Parker Reese, we find you not guilty of crimes against the Coven. You've shown excellent tenacity, and killing you would be the true crime. I'd agree with you. But I must. The human has resolve. As the coven elders murmur their approval, some more grudgingly than others, Astoria glares at you. This is insanity. One of you, well, overlooked, Astoria, is that killing Parker is not just unjust. It will bring more attention our way. Her mother has already shown an uncanny interest in the murders happening within these woods. Adding her daughter's death to the list would only fuel the fire. They both stare each other down again, neither willing to bend, and then, you know I'm right. Fine. Consider the tribunal overruled. You will walk free tonight, Parker. Really? Thank you. He turned to smile at Luan, only to see his charming gaze replaced by a searing glare. Cautiously, you take a step backwards, and he and Astoria move closer to close the gap. I wouldn't thank me yet, because know this. We will be watching you very closely. Not only that, but we will be observing your mother as well. If you don't keep the existence of our coven a secret, you and your mother will pay with your lives. You open your mouth, but before you can speak, Luan is right in front of you. Do not disappoint me, Parker. Then, something strikes the back of your head, and your world turns dark once more. At the sound of a bell, you blink awake, wincing at the brightness all around you. It takes a moment, but soon you realize hours have passed, and you're in the woods behind the school. Well, look who's finally awake. I thought you were going to be out all day. You leap to your feet, putting a bit of distance between you and two. Cass tilts her head with a grin, one hand lightly touching the other wrist. You tried to kill me. You wanted me dead. Luckily, I didn't finish the job, or I would have been minus a witness. Seriously? Is that all you can think about? In seconds, Cass is standing in front of you, and immediately your eyes are drawn to her fangs as she grins. Seriously, you might want to watch your tone. I'm not big on breakfast, but for you, I'd make an exception. She rubs her wrist again, and that's when you realize the sensory talisman on your wrist is cool and calm. You're toying with me. Bingo! You're an anomaly. New girl, human that gets to walk free. Least you can do is lighten up and let me have my fun. A surprised, jittery laugh escapes you as you shake your head in disbelief. You want to have fun at my expense? What's in it for me? Feeling emboldened, you take a step towards Cass, gaze flickering down to her lips, remembering the fangs extending beneath them. Before returning to meet her eyes, Cass leans in to whisper into your ear, "Oh, I'm sure I can think of something. I can be very entertaining." She steps back as you shiver, both infuriated and thrilled that she's won another round. Yeah, well, what happened to you last night anyway? You got pulled away, and I never saw you again. Teasing glint in her eyes vanishes, replaced by something that chills your blood. Nothing. Forget about that. I wish I could, but screams like that aren't easily forgotten. Neither is the fact that you literally chased down a helpless girl in the woods and killed her. There's more to it than meets the eye. You don't know the full story, so let me say it again. Forget about it. She reaches for her wrist again, subconsciously rubbing at the skin there, and you yank up her sleeve. Hey, don't... Before stifling a gasp at the sight of a horribly inflamed scar, she hisses in pain, and higher up you notice another, older scar half hidden by her sleeve. They did this to you? That's barbaric. How can vampires do this to each other? She snatches her arm away with a scoff, and you feel an unexpected sting at the sound. If you're gonna feel bad, it should at least be about the real punishment. Astoria gave me an official order as head of the coven to stop skipping school. Wow, stop skipping school. Oh, man. At the sound of the bell echoing through the trees again, Cass heaves a huge sigh. Here comes the real torture. You stifle a smile as your eyes flicked in the direction of Crimson Beech Eye, and you shrug your shoulders. For what it's worth, I'm sure it won't be too bad. But by the time you look back at Cass, you realize she's nowhere to be seen. You make your way to class, but you don't absorb a word your teacher says, lost in the memory of Luana and Astoria's warning. Yeah, no, listen, we didn't even change clothing. We're gonna be kind of like an outcast on day 2. There has to be some way out of this, some way to keep me and Mom safe, but if they come after us... You clutch your chest, willing your heart to slow down as your classmates fall out of the room, giving you strange looks as they pass. Just the passing bell. Keep it together, Parker. Outside your classroom, you find Gabriel waiting for you in the hall. Hey. I can't tell you how good it is to see you in one piece. Are you alright? Before you can say a word, you glance over Gabriel's shoulder and lock eyes with one of the Vinadai elders. You just in plain sight looking like that? She glides past you both, books in hand, before turning the corner without saying a word. Still, the message is received loud and clear. I can't talk about it. Whatever it is, you don't have to go through it alone. As student council president, it is my job to be open here for my constituents. You can tell me anything, I promise I won't tell a soul. He draws an X on his heart, and you hesitate, looking around to make sure nobody is listening, before leaning in to whisper, Last night, after you left me at my house, someone came for me. They knocked me out, brought me to the nest, or nook, or the nexus. Gabriel presses a finger to his lips and gestures for you to follow him down the hallway. Together, the two of you slip into the library. Being taken in the nexus is serious stuff. What do they want from you? I was on trial for what I'd seen. They let me live for now, but if I don't keep what I know a secret, they're gonna kill me and my mom. You squeeze your eyes shut, tight against the tears. After a few deep breaths, you open them to study Gabriel, studying your face. I can't believe they're putting you through this, but I promise you nothing bad is gonna happen to you on my watch. How can you say that? I just can. Those creatures destroy so many lives, all to protect their secret. You take in Gabriel's angry scowl, the fists balled up at his side, and then unsettling thoughts hits you. Wait a minute. You saw what Cass did too, but you weren't at the Nexus. That must mean... Shh! His eyes flash around the library, various other students, and you remember where you are and lower your voice. Do they already have you under the same ultimatum as me? Watch his face fall, and he nods before heading to a more secluded part of the library. Silently, you follow. I wasn't as lucky as you. Your mom's still alive. I lost my father. Oh, Gabriel. You can all but feel the pain and hatred radiating off of him. Then he clears his throat. I'm sorry. I don't mean to unload on you. Don't be sorry. You shouldn't have to keep that all to yourself. And now that we both know about the big secret, you don't have to keep it to yourself anymore. We have each other. You look into his eyes and can't help but notice the slightest bit of guilt. You have no idea how big of a relief that is. I feel terrible. I didn't mean to dredge up such painful memories. I don't blame you for wanting answers. And I think I might know someone who has them. He studies a nearby shelf for a moment, speaking under his breath. The library's old, much older than the school that was built around it. And in a town this small, it's the only library, which means it has plenty of the town's written secrets if you know where to look. He plucks a published journal from the shelves and hands it to you. You run your fingers lightly over the enclosed title, The Journal of William Pierce. He's one of the town's founders. I haven't checked it out yet, but if anyone knows a thing or two about the Crimson Beech vampires, it's this guy. Diamond choice. I can't pass this up. We'll see what kind of stories William's got for us. And Gabriel will find an open table tucked into the back of the corner of the library, far away from any potential eavesdroppers, and huddle close around the open journal. July 17, 1623. I am no longer certain that settling here in Crimson Beech was the correct decision. As you read, the events described are so vivid, the emotions so raw, you can imagine it all clearly in your mind's eye. When we happen upon this land and its proximity to the port and the trees that are perennial at the peak of health, I was doubtless that this was the ideal place for our new settlement. However, recent events have given me pause. They are dead, Wakefield. Hodgkins, others brutally slain, their throats nearly torn open. Each body was found in the woods surrounding the settlement. There I stood, in the center of the small clearing in the woods, two men alongside me. Their faces were somber as they looked down at a body on the ground. "Bradley here, found Blackwood, not 20 minutes past." "'Tis as I feared. How far is he from the last?" "Not very. 200, perhaps 300 yards. All of the bodies have been found in the part of the woods." "Whatever scourge is causing this is near the town village." I squatted down and turned Blackwood's head, revealing the telltale wound on his neck. The younger men looked around the woods uneasily. "All the townsfolk are frightened. None will leave their homes after dark." I do not blame them. Come, let us collect the body. It will be dark soon, and I do not believe we should linger here much longer. James Blackwood's widow was hysterical when she learned the news. "Listen to me. I saw it with my own eyes. They took him." "My dear Miss Blackwood, please do try and calm yourself. Who did you see take James?" "It was the demons in the woods. They came under the cover of darkness and... The woman's lip trembled before she collapsed to the ground in a heap of sobs without a care in the world about the whispering onlookers. "Did she say demons?" "She's gone mad." "They took him. They'll take us all, one by one, you'll see." As she screamed on, two men broke through the crowd and grabbed Widow Blackwood by her arms, restraining her. "I'm telling you the truth, oh, James." A nod from me was all it took to get them to move out of the view of the rest of the town. Her cries faded with the distance, but the buzz of the crowd only grew. Not a fortnight after he passed did she go missing as well. We have not recovered a body, but I fear the worst. I do not wish to believe such tales, but my soul tells me there is something more at play here. I am the only founder who remains. I must find the source of all this death, or I fear I too shall share the same fate. You sit back, a shiver sitting at the base of your spine as William Pierce's words linger in your mind. Wow. It sounds like the vampires didn't want humans here. I can't believe there are any humans left in Crimson Beech at all. It sounds like the vampires did all they could to eliminate the town. It's remarkable they failed. You shudder at the thought before turning your attention back to the journal. September 8th, 1623. I have recently taken notice of strange townspeople tending to the trees. The presence of these villagers has even had me questioning if the trees that first drew my attention are also the work of something sinister. They speak of magical nonsense that puts me ill at ease. One day I studied the leaves and found them as vibrant red in winter as in the peaks of summer, spring, and fall. 'Tis remarkable, truly. You may thank us for that. And as I whirled around, I found two people where precisely there had been none. They stood eerily still, watching me in one hand. Each held a candle, and in the other a tied burlap sack. I beg your pardon? We pay tribute to the trees, honor them, and they in turn flourish. Pay tribute? The earth is blessed. Can you not feel the magic in the air around you? And as she spoke, she looked at me with a grin that could raise Satan himself. Well, I suppose you would not. The other smiled, a smile devoid of warmth, and handed me the sack he was holding. Take this, share it among the others. We would do all our part in honoring this land that is our home, and it will honor us. I looked inside the sack and found it filled with herbs, flowers, small vials of cider, but then I looked up again and the unusual townspeople were gone. The trees have remained healthy, however, so perhaps there is something to all these rituals after all. You set the journal down and look over to find Gabriel, wide-eyed. That's gotta be the origin of the Autumn Festival. And I'm guessing from your reaction, it's a pretty big deal? The Autumn Festival is a time-honored Crimson Beech tradition. Legend says that it's meant to ensure the trees keep their leaves until the next year. Just like in the journal. Any chance I could help with this year's? I feel like there's something there. Are you kidding? We can always use more hands. You study William's handwriting on the page, taking in the loops and strokes. Those strange people he met. Sounds like the vampires were already living amongst the townfolk back then, going mostly undetected. I wonder if any of those vampires are still here today. Luan said that Cass was young, so she couldn't possibly have been around. But could it be that Luan was in the Crimson Beech back then, or Astoria? Wouldn't be surprised. I get the impression that those two have been around for a really long time. The thoughts linger on your mind a moment longer before you resume reading. The minutes fly by as you find yourself captivated by the book. Look at this. The journal mentions a home that burned down in the middle of the night. The bodies of the family inside were too badly charred to get any information from them. I should hand him the book. Pass him the book and point out the passage. None of the other homes on the road were affected, and the neighbor recalled the youngest daughter crying about demons the day before. Don't you see? This couldn't have been an accident. That family must have known something. You feel the weight of eyes on you and glance up from the pages to find Gabriel watching you intently. Smile self-consciously. What? Nothing. I'm just surprised. It seems like the more you've learned about the supernatural stuff, the less afraid you are. It's true. Knowledge is power and safety. This morning, I felt terrified and I was completely in the dark. Like I'd fallen in one of those nightmares where none of the rules of the world made sense. Now I feel prepared, like I'm ready to deal with the things as they come. Gabriel nods, his expression serious. I agree. The best way to keep yourself safe from an enemy is to learn everything you can about them. He gestures to the book on the table. And I'd say we got a pretty good start thanks to Mr. Pierce here. I guess free period is over. Come on, I'll walk you to your next class. He places the journal back on the shelf and head out of the library with Gabriel, feeling much more confident about your situation with everything you've learned. I don't see how knowing that they praise trees helps you. After school, you head to the hospital across town to check on your mom. The vampire said that they would let us live, but I need to make sure Mom's okay with my own two eyes, and I have to find out how much she knows about these murders. If she's digging as much as Luan thinks, I can't let her get it closer to the truth. You knock before stepping into her office, reassured by the sight of her working away at her desk. Mom. Hey, hon, I missed you this morning. You were gone so early, I didn't even see you at breakfast. Yeah, just eager to get to school, I guess. There's this, festival community I'm thinking of, joining, for the Autumn Festival. We, never had anything like this in the city, so it'd be a totally new experience. Oh, you better make the most of it. I grew up in a small town like this one, and those town-wide festivals are some of my favorite memories of the time. I will. Don't worry. You lean nonchalantly against her desk, angling yourself towards her piles of notes. So, I'm guessing you heard about last night's murder. Oh, the poor girl was found right at the edge of town. It's a little too close for comfort, if you ask me. She eyes you, and though she doesn't say it, you know exactly where her mom brain thoughts have gone. Mom, fine, look at me, all in one piece, there's no need to be concerned. Well, I am concerned. Especially since I heard from a nurse that there's a party in the woods last night. Parker Reese, were you there? Mom... Yes, but I promise I won't go into the woods again. Parker Reese, you made me promise not to enter those woods, and then you went yourself. That was different. You told me I should have some fun my senior year. Not at the expense of your safety. Do you have any idea what could have happened to you? This could have been your body lying in the morgue. I won't go back out there. Not that the murders have gotten closer, or now that they've gotten closer. I'm sorry for scaring you. I mean it. Mom stands up with a sigh and heads over to the coffee maker. There's something off about these murders. Like there's a missing piece that'll bring the whole thing together. She shakes her head and heads back towards her back of her office. As she goes, your eyes drift back towards her notes, and you stealthily sneak a peek at one of the photographs. That is gruesome. Why is there so much carnage? I thought vampires only drank blood. Shouldn't there be just a prick on the victim's neck? Maybe they want him to make him look like mangled like an animal got him or something. Trying to keep your voice casual, you call back to your mom. Mom, what kind of injuries did the girl have? Your mom glances back in your direction, but only sees you idly scrolling through your phone. She lets out another tired sigh. Bites, tears, lesions, all consistent with the typical animal attack. Yep, that's what I thought. I don't even want to think of the alternative, to think a human would do something so violent to a young girl. You shiver as your mind returns to the flash of silver eyes, sharp teeth cast with blood running down her chin. I don't think we remember that, but, you know, I need to figure out if Mom suspects anything out of the ordinary. But how do I find out without pushing too far? So, there are rumors about monsters in the woods. She rolls her eyes, and inwardly you let out a sigh of relief. Come on, Parker. You know better than to believe such superstitious nonsense. You're right. I shouldn't let scary stories from kids at school get in my head. It might be, some new kid hazing, that's all. She turns back to add cream and sugar to the coffees, and you quietly resume your snooping. Did the last medical examiner leave behind any theories? None other than wild animal attacks, and I can't call them to elaborate or compare notes since they're, you know, no longer living. You mean they died? Tragically, yes, succumbed to poor health partway through their previous investigation. You pause to let the information sink in, only to notice something scribbled in the margin of her notes. Examination notes. Due to different shapes of the lesions and variety of pressure used in the bites, there is significant evidence to deduce that this attack was carried out by 2 animals. No way. There was a second vampire in the woods last night. One that I didn't even see. You hear your mom's footsteps approaching. You quickly avert your gaze. Seconds later, your mom hands you a cup of coffee and settles back into her chair. That's a good mom. I don't want to say much too soon, but I do have some theories that I'm itching to run past my supervisor. You lift your coffee to your lips, but before you're able to take a sip, there's a sharp knock at the door, as if in slow motion, and it opens to reveal... That's her supervisor. It's almost like you could hear me talking about you, Parker. I'd like you to meet my supervisor, Dr. Lewin Junis. Dr. Junis, my daughter. Parker. Hi, Doctor. Oh, nice to meet you, Parker. I'm looking very forward to working with your mother. Well, that would end it up abruptly. Without further ado, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Head down description below, links to social media, Discord, and if you like support me and my content, it'd be great. And also, don't forget, there is the join button and the thanks button. You can always do those two as a way of saying, hey, you know, thanks, keep up the good work, you know, keeping the lights on, keeping food, you know, medical, things like that. But if you can't do it, that's fine. Just please remember to hit that subscribe button, become a part of the community, and continue watching the videos, you know. Hopefully you find them entertaining. Hopefully I bring you, you know, entertainment, joy, happiness, whatever that you are looking forward to. I try and, you know, do a wide variety of content here on the channel. There are over 3,600 videos. God knows how many years of content. So, yeah, no, love your beautiful faces. Catch y'all later. Peace out.